Okay, good morning, everybody. I think everybody that's due to join us is here now, and just like to introduce myself. My name's John Niblo. I'm from Midwich. I look after the audio team within Midwich, and so any audio inquiries that you may have, please feel free to send them into audio@midwich.com, or alternatively, you can ring us on 0161 868 1240, and we're here to help any of our customers with regards to Sennheiser products or any other audio products. Today's webinar is about the MobileConnect from Sennheiser, which is quite a unique product and one that's got probably various applications and could be seen to go into various venues. So I'm going to pass you over to Mark Haig from Sennheiser, and he's going to introduce the Sennheiser team, and we'll get the presentation going. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Mark.
Good morning, guys. So I'm Mark Haig, Sales Manager for Sennheiser, and I have the great pleasure of looking after the Midwich account. Presenting today, we have two guys. We have Inesh Patel, our Business Development Manager for Sennheiser, and Jacob, who's our Streaming Services Product Manager. So he's right on the forefront of all things to do with MobileConnect. So just in case you don't know a huge amount about Sennheiser, Sennheiser have made exceptionally high quality microphones for 75 years plus now. Probably best known for supplying the professional music industry, where we have many high profile artists using our mics. We are also very well known and frequently used in West End and around the world in many theatres, and the manufacturer of choice for multiple shows. We are highly respected in live broadcasting, including sports and TV. And for those aficionados amongst you, you might well know that Sennheiser owns a brand called Neumann, renowned for their exceptional quality and that's used on stage and in studios all around the world. And we have brought this wealth of experience, quality and reliability into the business world. And without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Inesh.
Thanks very much, Mark and John. It's great to be here with the Midwich team. I am also joined by another colleague, Joe Mahoney, hiding away in the background, but we'll bring Joe in a little bit later. So unfortunately, you're going to have to put up with me right here. And as John mentioned, we are here to talk about MobileConnect. It is a very different audio-visual type product. It actually is probably a very early adopter of integrating with the IT infrastructure as well. So it's an audio streaming over Wi-Fi, audio streaming over Wi-Fi basically, and it's using your own device. So bring your own device solution, and some examples for applications for MobileConnect is for aided listening applications, language translation, audio description. It can be used as a tool for improving concentration levels as well, and much, much more. So there's many more applications that you can think of, some that we haven't thought about that many of you guys might actually think of being able to use. So if in doubt, please do contact the team at Midwich, and we can talk through possible options. So let's look at aided listening solutions, because obviously one of the primary functions of using MobileConnect is around aided listening and language translation. And infrared is one such product that is in existence and currently being used. Also, there are FM and RF type solutions that can be used for both aided listening and language translation. And then for aided listening, predominantly, you've got the induction loop solutions as well. So let's take a look at some of these examples of what user experiences are like in the modern day world. So, you know, in terms of infrared and RF and FM solutions, certainly in infrared, people have to face an emitter because the signal is sent out from the IR emitter. So you do need line of sight. So you do need to face an emitter. But it also means that third-party receivers are having to be used, proprietary products that have to be issued out to users, which means that, you know, from a user perspective, is it clean? Has it been charged? Can I use it safely? With the FM RF type solutions, and even the infrared solutions, you can get interference. So infrared can be interfered with ultraviolet lighting. or even some fluorescent lighting. And then with FM and RF solutions being wireless, you can get interference from those type of solutions or signals. And people often say, well, you know, wearing this proprietary device can make me stand out. You know, it makes me stand out from the crowd, which can sometimes make people a little bit uncomfortable. And, you know, quite often they would have to actually flag themselves to say, oh, I need a device to help me hear what's going on in this venue. So they've got to flag themselves up as being needing assistance, which again, you know, is a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit of old way of making people do things. With induction loop systems were probably one of the earliest bring your own device solution around, because when it was installed correctly, people could walk into a space, flick their T-Coil hearing aid to the T-Coil position, and away they go. But what not a lot of people realise is that these days audiologists are not activating the T-Coil in hearing aids. Hearing aids are getting smaller and smaller, so even if there is space for the hearing T-Coil position, it's not actually being activated because audiologists want to save the battery life, and they believe that the high quality microphone in the hearing aid is more than adequate. However, in reality, users, certainly when they go into meeting spaces, that is when the focus is lost, unfortunately. So induction loops are becoming a little bit more redundant as life moves on. And the other thing from user experiences, again, most in particular with induction loop systems, when they haven't been installed as well as they could be, you know, do you need to sit in a certain position in the space to get the best possible signal? So again, you're sort of signaling out people and trying to identify them to sit in a particular place, which again causes a bit of a discomfort element all round. So let's take a look at next slide. Thank you. MobileConnect is designed to help all of these overcome a lot of these problems and things like that. So the concept of MobileConnect, as you'll see on the image on the left hand side, you take the audio from the room and feed it into the MobileConnect station, and that MobileConnect station sits on the network, on the corporate network, and uses the existing Wi-Fi network infrastructure to stream those audio feeds out into the audience, and the audience would then obviously just use their own device with the MobileConnect app to receive the signals. So we'll look at this in more detail as we go along, but in the meantime, what we can do is let's have a quick look at what the user experience is like on MobileConnect. So from a user perspective, they take their smart device out, they download the app onto their device, and that's what it looks like. They select an audio stream. So when you've got MobileConnect installed, you'll see various audio streams, and the user just selects which audio stream they require. As you can see, you can either open up any audio stream, but there's a couple of audio streams there with padlocks. So you can secure audio streams in making it a little bit secure. So if you try and access that audio stream with a padlock, you can't get into that unless you've got the password. There is another way of making audio streams even more secure and not necessarily populating all of the audio streams on the app. So what you can do is the QR code option of this solution allows users to use the inbuilt QR code scanner, which you can see there in the top right hand corner. And the only way you can access an audio stream is by going into a particular space and scanning a QR code that can be present in the room. So that way you won't see the audio stream in the list. You will only access that audio stream once you scan that QR code. So once you've got onto an audio stream, this is what the user sees. This blue dot is a personal hearing assistant. So what the streaming services team have developed is, rather than give users complicated treble and bass settings or 5 or 7 band EQ settings, we've developed this personal hearing app, which makes life really easy for the layperson. you can basically move that dot around this little area, and moving it between up and down goes between neutral and loud, and going between left and right goes between bright and dark sounds. So basically you can find what sounds good for your own personal hearing. And then just below that, you've got a mute button or a stop button. So, you know, if you need to mute the signal at any point for any reason, you've got that ability to do so. And just below that, you've got a physical waveform signal indicator. So you can see that there's signal coming through that stream. And if you're not getting audio, you obviously can fix that yourselves, because either your volume's down, or you've got it muted, or you've lost connection with your hearing device, which normally users can fix themselves because it's their own equipment. And you have got the volume slider at the bottom there, which obviously is a really useful thing to have, but it will also work with the buttons on the side of the phone as well. So let's look at the main components of MobileConnect. So on the left-hand side there, you've got the physical hardware, the MobileConnect station itself, which has got the physical connections, which Jacob's going to go through very shortly. In the middle is the MobileConnect Manager. The MobileConnect Manager is used to administer as many network stations or connect stations that you might have on a network. So if you've got multiple connect stations, this one little bit of software will monitor and control all of the devices on the network. It's a free bit of software, so you don't have to pay for that. You pay for the box, but not the control manager software. And then you've obviously got the app that the user downloads. And again, that's a free app as well. So I'm really pleased and privileged to be able to introduce you to Jacob Kolach, who's our streaming services team product manager. So who better to take us through some of the technicalities of this solution than Jacob himself. So welcome, Jacob, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Ines. So let's take a closer look on the three components of this product. So first, of course, the station, as Ines already mentioned. This is half 19-inch housing station that can be rack mounted. And the most important thing about this hardware is two facts. The first fact is we have 100 simultaneous clients per box, and we have 2 channels that can be made available for the audience. So it's possible to have, for example, 2 rooms that are going to be served by this streaming solution here. On the back side, we have audio-wise 2 input formats that are available. On the one side, the analog inputs, XLR inputs, and we also have a Dante interface. And the good thing here is that they can also be used in parallel. So a very flexible solution here. If somebody is deciding, okay, we're going to switch to a digital format now, they can do at every point in time. Powered is the station over PoE, so no extra power supply is needed, just a PoE LAN cable, and then the station is up and running. Next slide, please. Then the MobileConnect Manager, which is the software to administrate many stations from one single point of administration. This is optional. I will come to that point later because we have 2 different running options or running modes for this product. But if the situation is that many stations are implemented or integrated into a campus network, for example, this software can be used to administrate all of the stations very easily, update the stations, and also to configure all the audio channels. What is up and coming will be released next week. Just to mention it already, there's also an API interface for this MobileConnect Manager, so it can be hooked up to third-party systems. Maybe last but not least, the 400. Sorry for the slide before 400. That's what we have tested. So it's really made for campus-wide solutions. You can integrate this product into a big campus installation with many rooms. So this is possible with this software here. Next slide, please. And then last but not least, Ines mentioned all the highlights already, I would say. But the app side, so this is where the end user comes into place. We have it, of course, as a free download on iOS and Android available. And I mean, the best thing about this is the low latency here. We are using a unicast transmission, so it's always a one-to-one connection between the hardware station and the end user. And this is how we can achieve this low latency, that at the end it's a lip sync situation and experience for the end user in the audience. And regarding the access to the channels, Ines also mentioned it, but we have two types of accessing the channels. The one is, of course, just clicking a channel, but there's also the possibility to hide channels so that they are not visible, and then the audience or the person who wants to listen to this speaker on the stage, for example, has to scan a specific QR code in order to access the audio stream. Next slide, please. Let's take a closer look on the network integration. So as we already mentioned, we have the MobileConnect manager. So this is the one way of operating the system. In this case, the MobileConnect manager is also integrated into the same network so that the stations can speak to the MobileConnect manager software instance. And then the MobileConnect manager distributes all the audio channels that are available in the network to the smartphones. So all that is needed here is, of course, a Wi-Fi network that is in place, and then the manager and the stations also in the same network. And then, yeah, this system can be integrated and scaled to hundreds of rooms. One look at the possible, an animated picture here on the next slide, how this can look like integration-wise. So as you can see here in this animated GIF, the box, the station, can be integrated separately into each room in a small media rack, for example. So this is the decentralized way of implementing it. And then as soon as the box is attached to the local network of the campus, the channels will be available over the campus Wi-Fi. So that's one way of doing it. On the next slide, we will see that, of course, because as I mentioned, we have 2 channels per box, this scenario can also be possible so that we have a media control room where the audio signals from multiple rooms are coming in together. And then there can be one station that takes up 2 signals, for example, for 2 rooms, and then distributing the audio for the 2 rooms over one control room here. And of course, because we have the Dante capability here, on the next slide, just one picture to demonstrate what is even also possible to have at the end a rack with multiple stations, because the audio routing with the Dante capability is possible to have, in this case, 13 rooms that they are routed to one specific rack with multiple stations, and then they can be centralized in one room, and then they are serving all the rooms on the campus that need to have an audio streaming solution like this. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we have 2 different options to run this product. We have the so-called manager mode with the MobileConnect manager, but then we also have a so-called standalone mode. It's the more plug-and-play mode and made for installations with fewer boxes in the network. In this operating mode, the MobileConnect manager is not needed, so no server requirements, and it still can be scaled, so multiple boxes can be integrated into one network. But as I said, the MobileConnect manager is not needed. So regarding the IT involvement, a lower level of IT involvement is required for this installation method, and it's the best way to get in touch with this product very, very quickly and to kind of plug and play mode of operation here. Just a picture for this operation mode. The big differences here, as I already said, we don't need the MobileConnect manager. It's basically just the LAN cable into the streaming port of the MobileConnect station. And as soon as the Wi-Fi is connected to the same IP that is used for the streaming port on the box, the channel will be available over a scan of the QR code. And then on the right side, what you see here is the connection for the end user. So the end user can then listen over an induction neck loop, for example, and then the hearing aid, or over a wired headphone. And then the end user is good to go and is able to listen in crystal clear quality and lowest possible latency.
It's fantastic. Thanks, Jacob. Let me summarize a little bit there, which so basically the value for the user is that they're actually using a familiar device. There's a little adaptation time because they're already using a product that they're familiar with, and it's convenient for the user as well. Extremely compatible with whatever hearing device that they are using in existence, because they will already be interfacing with their phone by one form or another. So it's using exactly the same interaction with their phone, with their device. And it's not just for the hard of hearing. So, you know, even if somebody wanted to use it as something to help them focus and concentrate on, anybody could actually download the app with their smart device, use their own hearing earphones, and away they go. So the beauty of having no third-party dedicated device, you don't have to interact with anybody to say, I need something to help me here. And there's no regard for where you sit yourself in a room. There's no sweet spot, because Wi-Fi is going to cover the whole space. So feel free to sit with your friends or your colleagues in a space without having to worry about where you're going to get the best signal reception. So it's truly an inclusive system for everybody to use. And from a venue perspective, on the next slide, there we go. You know, there's lots of benefits from the venue's perspective, because the equipment can be used for an entire site, and it's easy to integrate, as you've seen, into the existing networks, going through what Jacob has gone through. And the administration with the MobileConnect Manager software means it's an effortless solution when you're rolling out multiple systems. So overall, MobileConnect is a very low total cost of ownership solution, extremely low maintenance, and no ongoing costs. And if anything, you know, through future firmware updates, I dare say there might be some features and things that venues will actually benefit from going forwards. So this is really all good. We did this as a high-level overview. Joe is going to drop a quick link in the chat just for any detailed documentation for MobileConnect. So there's white papers about IT infrastructure requirements and that sort of thing. And if we flick to the next slide, I'm actually going to bring John back in again, because John, before we do Q&A, would you like to do a bit of summary and advise people about some additional drops that we're doing as well?
Yes, certainly. Thank you for that, Inesh, and thank you, Jacob. Great presentation. I think again, it's a different kind of product, isn't it? Especially ones that we're used to from what we see from Sennheiser, and I think the applications for this have probably not all come to the forefront as yet. There'll probably be more that come out of the woodwork, and designers will incorporate it into different venues. So again, a great product, and one I think as things change due to recent events as well, bringing your own device certainly is definitely a plus point. So yeah, thank you guys. I think it's a great presentation. Just to everybody listening, and I just want to point out, obviously, any of the products that you've seen, or you know, that we've featured on the previous webinars, please feel free to contact us at Midwich. You can come directly to the audio team at audio@midwich.com. Alternatively, please feel free to ring us 0161 868 1240, and we'll be happy to help with any inquiries that you have. We work very closely with Sennheiser and the team there, so nothing's too complicated, and I'm sure whatever inquiry you have will be comfortable and able to help you with that scenario. So I'm going to open up to the Q&As, and obviously feel free to ask us any problems. There is going to be some links featured in the Q&As as well, so that will refer back to some of the other webinars that we've done. Please feel free to jump on them at any time at your leisure, and we'll be happy to take any inquiries that you have. And once again, thank you for your time. It's really much appreciated, and I hope you found the webinars valuable. Thank you. I'll pass you back over to the guys at Sennheiser, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks,
Yes,
John.
Thanks,
John. Yes. So, Joe, did you manage to drop that link in for the documentation?
Yeah. So if you have a look in the announcements in the chat, you should see some links in there to the documentation for MobileConnect. So that tells you everything about standalone mode and the manager mode, full use scenario as well. And we've also dropped in upcoming webinars and some previous webinars that we've got on YouTube as well. So all of it can be found there. And I think we do have a question in the chat already as well, which is nice, which is, does the MobileConnect station have an option, an optional power supply, or is it PoE only? So yeah, the MobileConnect station is PoE powered only. There's no DC input or anything like that possible. So yeah, only PoE powered.
Anything else in the chat that we've got? Any other questions cropped up?
We do indeed.
Oh,
The
yes.
induction neck loop for use with T-Coil enabled hearing aids. Is this only available with a 3.5mm connection? As fewer mobile devices feature 3.5mm connectors nowadays, and not all users would carry an adapter with them.
Yeah, so if you are familiar with your mobile phone device, and you're plugging headphones and things like that into your mobile phone anyway. So if it is something like an Apple product with the Lightning connection on there, hopefully there are adapters, but that is also something that could be held at the venue if required. So these specific adapters, there will only be a couple based on the mobile phones. It'll either be a Lightning connection, a USB-C, or a more traditional jack socket. So yeah, provided you have those, or you can foresee that as a venue and have them kind of locally stored, shouldn't be a problem at all.
Well, I'd actually put the onus back onto the user, because quite often the user is using their own device. They're familiar with what they're connecting and how they connect. So I suspect, like me, I've got an iPhone which only uses Lightning connector. I always make sure I've got my little Lightning adapter with me, so I can put my 3.5mm connection in there. So I guess the onus is on the user, but yeah, there's no harm in the venue holding something if need be.
Yeah, and that's really the thing, isn't it? It's the user's own device that they're going to be using. So hopefully they do have the appropriate adapter to plug a wired pair of headphones in, or alternatively, a lot of people are just using Bluetooth from their mobile phones to their hearing aids, which is already connected up. So as soon as you open up the application and you start passing audio, the connection is already there between the phone and the actual the earpiece itself, so works automatically. But yeah, hopefully the end users would have the adapters required to use their mobile phone device.
Cool, thank you. Some of the other questions we often get asked, and I think it's always good to throw them out there, is I like this one particularly. Is the personal assistant just a fancy name for a graphic equalizer?
Why don't we let Jacob come in and answer that one?
Yeah, it's definitely not only an equalizer. So what we have done there is we have developed this together with the Fraunhofer Institute, with the audiology department there, and this is specifically made for persons hard of hearing. So it's definitely more than that. There's definitely more magic behind it. It's really tailored for people who are hard of hearing, and that they can adjust the sound to their specific needs, and then at the end to understand the spoken word better, and like I said, to the individual needs at the end. So way more than an equalizer.
Thank you. How do you generate the QR code?
Oh, great question. Thanks for that one, Mark. I'll let Joe come in on this one, I think.
Yeah, so in terms of generating the QR codes, currently if you're using it in manager mode, you'll be able to actually generate QR codes through the manager mode, and that can be downloaded and printed. When it comes to the standalone mode, exactly the same thing again. You can generate a new QR code on the standalone mode, and you can print that effectively. With the standalone mode, the one QR code will give you access to both channels. When you're running manager mode, you actually have a separate QR code for every individual channel. With the API that's going to be coming out, it will allow you to add things like a generate new QR code button onto a touch panel in the room. So you won't actually have to access the local admin interface or the MobileConnect manager. You can do it in room, just at the press of a button, and then that can be displayed in room as well. So it should be all encompassing and pretty much automatic. You press the button and it will regenerate and come up on a display, or however you want to deal with it. Yeah, so those are kind of the two options until the API is out later this week.
Oh, later this week? Is that right, Jacob?
Or was it next week? Sorry.
Later next week, but just a couple of days. So it's in the release process and will be out next week. Yeah.
Exciting.
I do love updates, but how much is that update going to be?
How much is going to update?
Yeah, how much are these end users going to have to pay to get this new features just added to their existing machinery?
Good one. It's free, of course. Yeah.
You can't say of course, but thank you. Good to hear. And the software for MobileConnect, the software manager, is that free as well?
Yeah, this is also free and it will stay free.
Lovely. Superb. So any future updates we're offering as it stands, it will be just free, and we're just going to keep updating the product. Superb.
So just to clarify that, the only thing you pay for is the actual physical hardware box itself. That's the only cost implication that you have.
Yeah. And the one box will cover 100 simultaneous clients and also potentially cover 2 rooms as well. So there's a lot of bang for your buck if you like to say that.
That's another question we often get asked. Actually, say 100 simultaneous clients. Sorry, is that 50 per channel or is that 100 per channel?
So it's maximum of 100 users. So you could have 20 people on channel 1 and 80 people on channel 2, as long as it doesn't exceed the 100 per station. And there is a recommendation as well to if you are going to be using 100 simultaneous clients, to have 2 access points covering that space as well. So roughly 50 clients per access point is certainly a good recommendation as well.
Minimum of 2.
Minimum of 2, yeah. And I mean, I think most, IT infrastructure, they're going to tick that box very, very happily. If you're in a classroom or an auditorium, you'll see there's a bunch of access points in that space. So, it shouldn't be a problem to cover that.
So something we get asked about quite often is latency as well, because obviously within network infrastructure, there's a certain amount of latency. So, Jacob, do you want to mention anything about latency? Because we know we can get near lip sync with this new solution.
Yeah, definitely. So what we are doing inside the office is always making 6-hour-long audio listening tests in a real world Wi-Fi. So it's not a blank Wi-Fi, so to say, where only data packages of MobileConnect are getting distributed. So it's a real world case, and what we have is an average latency is 50 to 60 milliseconds with this system.
I've actually had somebody comment that one of their modern phones was nearly as low as 30 milliseconds. Is that right?
Yeah, it can even go below. So that's why I mentioned average latency. So in optimal cases, we can also achieve around 35 milliseconds on the most modern phones or all iOS phones, for example. So yes, but on an average, like I said, it's around 50 to 60. And why average? Maybe just to mention this, we have an adaptive stream buffer inside this product. So as soon as we are detecting inside the app that packages are getting delayed, for example, we are adjusting that buffer. So we can always make sure that we have 0 audio interruptions in the chain. And that's why we can still keep the signal as robust as needed.
That's fantastic. So not only are we getting very good low latency, we're getting also high quality audio because we're doing 40 hertz up to 20 kilohertz. And if I remember from my audio engineering days, the average human ear can only recognize latency above 30 milliseconds. So, you know, the fact that we're near that sort of human recognition is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's called the Haas effect. So anything that's within 40 milliseconds of the original signal isn't really perceived as echo. It's just perceived as the same signal. So if you can get your latency close to 40 milliseconds, which we can do with you know, up-to-date kind of smart devices, then there is effectively no perceived latency in the system. Especially when you look at the idea of latency in general. If you're in a large auditorium, you know, you're always going to be having some form of latency in that room, just depending on how far away you are from the speakers. You know, if you're not sat next to them, you're going to have latency. So take that into account as well in a kind of real world situation. That yeah, we deal with that pretty much every day, and our brains are really good at coping with those direct, indirect signals and getting them all to work together quite nicely.
Very good point. Any more comments, questions in there, or?
I think we've covered just about everything, gentlemen. Unless anybody else has got any attendees want to throw another question up. Otherwise, I think that was excellent, to be honest. I think hopefully we've covered everything.
Excellent.
We haven't seen any more new questions at the moment, so I'm pretty sure that's pretty much us done, to be honest, guys.
So in the chat, we've got links to the MobileConnect documentation, plus links to YouTube videos for previous recordings and various bits and bobs. So yeah, without further ado, I think we'll hand back to John to thank everybody. So I'll thank everybody on behalf of Sennheiser for joining us, and thanks for your attention, and back to you, John.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great presentation and great product. Yeah, brilliant. And once again, thank you to the people who've taken the time to join us this morning. It's very much appreciated, and we look forward to doing more of these kind of webinars on various products in the future. So yeah, thank you for your time. Great stuff. Cheers.
Thank you all. Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.